Good morning, noon, evening or night, depending when you're watching this video. My name is Legend and welcome back to World of Tanks and the NBTT'ay Replay series, where we watch the best replays of the NBTT clan for each and every patch. Now, first off, immediately we have Soperys in his RU-251 on the map Mines, and he goes straight for the hill, and on his way there he encounters the enemy RU, tries to ram him to slow him down in order for his teammates to catch up. Well, his teammates are actually occupied a bit now with the enemies down the hill, but that was a very good tactic to do right away. After that, shoots HE at the RU, which he should have done earlier. I mean, what other tank could he expect going up the hill that fast? Might be the Borask or the Panzer, but both of those tanks have relatively low armor, so he could already fire his relatively high penetration HE rounds right there. But from this moment it is quite being the king of the hill, spotting enemies at different flanks and taking pot shots wherever he comfortably can. And there isn't much more commentary to do on this part of the replay. Both of his platoon mates, who are of course supporting him, are pretty much doing the same thing as he does. So for now, let's just skip forward with having some highlights in between until something else happens. At this point right here against the K91, he is searching the outline of the K91 to hit a small portion of the tank that sticks out in the open. Very nicely used of that particular mechanic. But let's get back into the compilation. So at this moment he leaves the hill in order to push towards the enemy base, which is quite open. Only one enemy tank that can counter him on this particular approach, but he is occupied of pushing the hill. And by making this push towards the enemy base, Soperys is getting another angle towards the hill, which is now under higher pressure of the enemy. Well, enemy has pretty much taken over by now. But right here he gets a bit of tunnel vision on the Skoda T56 and doesn't realize the danger he is in, getting into a crossfire, and is quite lucky to absorb one of the T-34's shells. Afterwards he goes into a safe spot, but really wants to finish off the Skoda, but bounces the shot and doesn't hide properly, getting shot back underneath the already dead tortoise, which can be shown right here. So a bit of tunnel vision at the end, but Soperys gained enough damage and support damage for his team to have a little bit, quite an even match in the end, but luckily his team gets on top of it in the end. So quite a rough ending there, but that doesn't take into account, of course, the absolute great game he has all the way up till that point where he goes a little bit too far towards the Skoda T56. Gaining an Ace Tanker medal alongside with the Orlex medal for destroying two tanks one tier higher than him, the Confederate and the High Caliber, which for a light tank is always a quite an remarkable medal to achieve. Alongside with almost 5,000 damage done and over 3,000 damage in support, of course this is going to be quite the high pace experience of nearing 1600. Finally, he did have some premium accounts and didn't fire too much gold shells. He even gets a very reasonable profit out of it. Quite a short display with, well, the usual king of the hill situation on mines. Furthermore, some notable moments were of course the use of the K91's outline in order to destroy him, and also pushing towards the enemy base at the time that was very necessary. Unfortunately, getting a little bit too carried away with this Skoda T56 on the end. But like I said before, accumulating all that has happened in this battle, and it was still quite the remarkable one. However, since that battle was relatively short because of all the editing that I could achieve on that, we have another replay as well. That's right, a double feature for this particular episode. And now we are watching Zarva driving in his AMX 1357 on Malinovka. And by the location he is occupying right now, you can pretty much guess what the majority of this battle is going to be. He is being the ultimate bushwanker, holding back fire even when it gets tempting to do so, racking up massively amounts of spot damage. So once again, nothing more of commentary to say right here, so just roll again with a compilation. So over 6,000 spotting damage later, Zarva spots a TS-54 at a very important location, holding back his team. So he finally moves from his initial position and tries to help his teammates out with that TS right there. And uses nicely the solid push mechanics right here. And funnily enough, bounces too many shells off the rear of the TS-54 to eventually finishing the TS off himself. But luckily the AMX 1357 has a relatively fast reload time on this entire clip. But even with still many bounces, he has enough shells to make enough of them count. There's a little bit of the situation of if you throw enough shit at the wall, at least some will stick eventually. And after that he is returning back to his original bush, because it's still quite important to spot out the enemies currently at the south near his base. But when that doesn't happen, he finally proceeds to be a more active scout and goes straight through the middle. He shortly goes off the aggressive spot and to funnel out the last remaining enemy tanks. Tries to use the bushes in the middle of the field, but finally gets spotted himself. And this is actually the first time he gets spotted, around 8 minutes into the game already. And with that, the game is already over. I think I can manage to even tell less about this game, because most of the time it's your typical light tank passive scout gameplay, but racking up so much spotting damage, yeah, wow, it pretty much gains you an automatic spot into this series. Although I might have to filter in the future a bit more between these types of more passive games and more active games that are a little bit lower on experience. But well, we will see for the future episodes. For now, Zarva achieved the Ace Tanker Award, of course with the Scout and Patrol duty. What a surprise for actually racking up nearly 9,000 spotting damage, which for a tier 7 tank is quite insane. Alongside with 1,500 damage done, and he achieved almost 2000 base experience. Quite the amount higher than the previous replay, and with the premium account he managed to also get a small profit. Otherwise it wouldn't happen because he was actually firing only the premium APCR shells during this battle. So with the original rules of this series it would be only this replay that was featured, but since I don't know, recording it for only 6 minutes right now with all the editing, I guess it's only a 3-minute video. I had to include the other replay as well, which also had quite a large amount of non-commentary, more compilation like show not tell about some very important positions and strategies on, well, maps and strategies most of us know, but it's fun to see in action, so now and then. So, final thoughts about this particular battle. Well, not a lot to say about the ultimate bushwanker right here, but some encounters between the TS-54, using that push and finally making that push in order to spot out the final remaining enemy tanks were some notable highlights of this particular replay. For the rest, it's your standard spotting and such, and it works on this map sometimes in this high degree. And with that, that's the end of this episode. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Laters!